Welcome to the Fluent English DCD podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fluent English DCD podcast. We are here to make learning English fun, easy, and useful. If this is your first time listening, we are so happy to have you here. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Emma. Whether you are just starting to learn English or already know some basics, this podcast is for you. Our goal is to help you speak and understand English with confidence. We speak at a medium speed so you can follow along easily, but you can also adjust the playback speed if needed.
Today, our topic is hobbies. We will teach you how to talk about your hobbies and ask about other people's hobbies.
But before we start, let's talk about the DCD approach.
The DCD approach stands for daily, consistency, and discipline. These three things can help you learn English faster. Daily means practicing English every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Consistency means doing it regularly, like brushing your teeth. Small, regular practice helps a lot. Discipline means sticking to your plan, even on busy days.
That's right. If you follow the DCD approach, you can make English learning a habit and see real progress.
If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing helps you stay updated, and it supports us to keep creating more episodes for you. Hello again. I'm Jeff, and today we are talking about hobbies. Hobbies are activities you enjoy doing in your free time. Talking about hobbies is a great way to connect with others.
We'll ask 5 easy questions about hobbies and share our answers. You can practice these questions and answers later.
Let's start with the first question. Question 1. What are your hobbies?
This is the most common way to ask someone about their interests. It's simple and works in any situation. For example, you can ask, "What are your hobbies?" when you meet someone new, like a classmate or a coworker, or even when you want to learn more about a friend. This question shows that you are interested in the other person's life.
That's right, Emma. And when you answer this question, it's good to share a little detail. Don't just give one word. Adding details makes your answer more interesting and gives the other person something to talk about. For example, I would say, "My hobbies are hiking and photography. I love exploring new trails, especially in the mountains, and capturing nature with my camera. Sometimes, I even wake up early to take photos of the sunrise. It's so beautiful."
That's a great answer, Jeff. For me, I enjoy reading and baking. Recently, I've started experimenting with baking bread. It's both challenging and rewarding because it takes time to get the recipe just right. But it feels amazing when the bread turns out delicious. For example, last week I made a sourdough loaf and it smelled so good when it came out of the oven.
That's so cool, Emma. I bet your kitchen always smells wonderful. A great tip here is to be specific. Instead of just saying, "I like music," try saying something like, "I enjoy playing the guitar and learning new songs." This gives the other person something to ask you about. For example, they might ask, "What kind of music do you play?"
Exactly, Jeff. Being specific makes your answer more interesting and helps the conversation continue. For example, if someone says, "I like sports," it's a good start. But if they say, "I love playing basketball with my friends every weekend," it gives you more to talk about. You can then ask questions like, "What position do you play?" Or, "How long have you been playing basketball?"
That's a good point, Emma. Sharing details about your hobbies can also help you find things in common with the other person. For example, if I meet someone who also loves hiking, we can talk about the best places to hike or share tips for taking great photos.
So remember, when someone asks you, "What are your hobbies?" take a moment to think about what you enjoy doing and try to share a little detail about why you love it. This will make your answer more meaningful and help you connect with others. Question 2. What do you like to do in your free time? This question is a more casual way to ask about hobbies. It's perfect for friendly conversations or when you don't know the other person very well. For example, You might ask this question at a party, during a break at work, or when chatting with a new classmate.
That's right, Emma. This question is also very flexible. It doesn't have to be about big hobbies. It can include small activities you enjoy. For example, if someone asks me, "What do you like to do in your free time?" I would say, "In my free time, I like to watch documentaries. I recently watched one about space exploration, and it was fascinating. I learned so much about how astronauts live and work in space."
That's so interesting, Jeff. For me, I would say, in my free time, I like to visit bookstores. I can spend hours browsing through books and finding hidden gems. It's very relaxing for me, and I always leave with something new to read.
That's a great answer, Emma. This question also lets you talk about everyday activities, even if they're not full hobbies. For example, you could say, "I like going for walks in the evening. It helps me clear my mind and enjoy the fresh air." Or, "I enjoy trying new coffee shops. It's fun to explore different places and taste new drinks."
Yes, and these small activities are great conversation starters. For example, if you say, "I enjoy trying new coffee shops," the other person might ask, "Do you have a favorite coffee shop?" Or, "What's your favorite type of coffee?"
Exactly. And you don't have to talk about something big. Small activities like reading a book, listening to music, or gardening are all great answers. The important thing is to share what makes you happy or helps you relax.
Another tip is to connect your answer to something recent. For example, you could say, "I enjoy cooking. Yesterday, I made a new pasta recipe and it turned out really good." This makes your answer more personal and interesting.
That's a great idea, Emma. Sharing a recent activity makes your answer feel fresh and natural. And if you're still not sure what to say, you can always start with something simple like, "In my free time, I like to relax and watch TV." From there, you can add more details if the conversation continues.
Yes, the key is to keep it natural and enjoyable. Talking about your free time is a great way to connect with others, especially if you find out that you have similar interests.
So, when someone asks you, "What do you like to do in your free time?" don't be afraid to share a little about yourself. You never know. It might lead to a great conversation or even a new friendship.
Question 3. How often do you spend time on your hobbies? This question is about how often you do your hobbies. It's a good way to share your routine and show how much time you dedicate to the things you love. For example, Jeff, how often do you go hiking?
I try to go hiking at least once a month, usually on weekends. It's my way to relax and enjoy nature. I find that spending time outdoors helps me clear my mind and stay active.
That's a great routine, Jeff. For me, I bake about twice a week. It depends on my schedule, but I always make time to try new recipes. Baking helps me feel creative, and I enjoy sharing what I bake with my friends and family. For example, last week I made chocolate chip cookies for my neighbor, and they loved them.
Sharing how often you do something also shows how important it is to you. For example, you could say, "I practice yoga every morning. It helps me start the day feeling calm and focused." Or, "I paint on weekends when I have more free time. Painting helps me relax and express my creativity."
That's true. If you're not sure about the exact time, you can use words like sometimes, often, or rarely. For example, I sometimes play tennis with my friends. It's a fun way to stay active. Or I rarely go swimming, but I enjoy it when I do.
Using these words is helpful because they give the other person an idea of how often you do your hobby, even if it's not very regular. For example, if I say, "I often take photos during my hikes," it tells the listener that it's something I enjoy doing regularly.
That's a good point, Jeff. Talking about how often you do your hobbies also gives you a chance to share more details. For example, you could say, "I go to the gym 3 times a week. It helps me stay healthy and energetic." Or, "I read every night before bed. It's a relaxing way to end my day."
So, when someone asks you, "How often do you spend time on your hobbies?" Take this opportunity to share your routine and explain why it's important to you. It's a great way to make your conversation more engaging. Question 4. What got you interested in this hobby? This is one of my favorite questions because it helps you learn the story behind someone's hobby. Emma, what got you interested in baking?
That's a great question, Jeff. I got interested in baking because of my grandmother. She used to bake cookies, and I helped her in the kitchen when I was a child. I loved the smell of freshly baked cookies, and I wanted to learn how to make them myself. It was such a fun way to spend time with her. And now, every time I bake, it reminds me of those happy moments.
That's such a sweet story, Emma. For me, I got interested in photography when I received a camera as a gift for my birthday. At first, I just took random photos, but then I started learning more about how to take good pictures. I watched tutorials online and practiced a lot. Now I love capturing landscapes and sunsets. There's something magical about freezing a beautiful moment in time.
That's amazing, Jeff. Sharing the story of how you started your hobby makes your conversation more personal and interesting. For example, you could say, I started gardening during the pandemic because I wanted to grow my own vegetables. It was so exciting to see the plants grow. Or, I began playing the guitar when I was a teenager. My dad used to play, and I wanted to be just like him. Sharing your story can also help the other person feel comfortable sharing their own. For example, they might say, I started drawing because my teacher encouraged me. Or, I got into running because my friend invited me to join a local race.
That's right, Emma. These stories can also show how a hobby has changed your life or brought you happiness. For example, someone might say, I started cooking because I wanted to eat healthier. Now it's my favorite way to relax after work.
Or, I got interested in knitting because it helped me stay calm during stressful times. Now, I love making scarves and sweaters for my family.
When you share these kinds of stories, you not only practice your English, but you also connect with others on a deeper level. People enjoy hearing about what inspires you and why you do what you love.
So, the next time someone asks you, what got you interested in this hobby? Take your time to share your story. It's a wonderful way to make your conversation more meaningful. Question 5. Do you prefer indoor or outdoor hobbies? This is a great question to talk about the type of hobbies you enjoy. It's also a fun way to learn about someone's personality and preferences. For example, Jeff, do you prefer indoor or outdoor hobbies?
I prefer outdoor hobbies. Hiking and cycling are my favorites. I love being in nature, breathing fresh air, and getting some exercise. There's something very refreshing about spending time outdoors, especially after a long week at work.
That's great, Jeff. For me, I prefer indoor hobbies, like reading and baking. I love the calmness of being indoors, especially when it's raining outside. But I also enjoy outdoor activities sometimes, like going for a picnic with friends or taking a walk in the park.
That's nice, Emma. You don't have to choose just one. It's okay to enjoy both indoor and outdoor hobbies. For example, I could say, I like both. I enjoy painting indoors because it's peaceful, but I also love hiking outdoors to stay active and explore new places.
That's a great way to answer, Jeff. It shows variety and gives the other person something to talk about. For example, if someone says, I enjoy painting indoors, you could ask, what kind of paintings do you make? Or if they say, I love hiking outdoors, you could ask, where's your favorite place to hike?
Exactly. Talking about preferences also helps you learn more about the other person's lifestyle. For example, someone who loves outdoor hobbies might enjoy adventure and being active, while someone who prefers indoor hobbies might enjoy quiet and creative activities.
Yes, and it's fun to discover new hobbies from these conversations. For example, if someone tells me they enjoy gardening outdoors, I might get curious and ask, what do you grow in your garden? Or if they enjoy cooking indoors, I could ask, what's your favorite dish to cook?
That's true, Emma. Sharing your preferences can also help you connect with others who like similar things. For example, if I meet someone who also loves cycling, we can share tips about the best cycling routes or gear.
Or if I meet someone who loves baking, we can exchange recipes and talk about our favorite desserts. It's a great way to bond over shared interests.
Another tip is to explain why you like your hobbies. For example, I prefer outdoor hobbies because I enjoy being active and spending time in nature. Or, I like indoor hobbies because they help me relax after a busy day.
That's a good idea, Jeff. Explaining why you like something makes your answer more interesting and personal. For example, I could say, I enjoy reading indoors because it's quiet and helps me escape into different worlds. Or, I love walking outdoors because it clears my mind and gives me energy.
And if you're not sure about your preference, you can always say something like, it depends on the weather. I like outdoor hobbies when it's sunny, but I prefer indoor hobbies on rainy days.
That's a great point, Jeff. Your preferences might change depending on your mood or the season. For example, I might bake more in the winter when it's cold, but I'll enjoy picnics and outdoor activities in the summer.
So, when someone asks you, do you prefer indoor or outdoor hobbies? Don't be afraid to share your thoughts. Whether you choose one, both, or it depends, it's a great way to start a meaningful conversation.
And remember, the goal is to express yourself and learn about others. Talking about hobbies is not only fun, but also a great way to practice your English and make connections.
Okay, now let's learn 5 useful phrases on this topic. 1. I'm really into. This is a great way to say that you enjoy something a lot. It's casual and very common in everyday conversations. For example, I'm really into photography. I love taking pictures of nature and landscapes. Or, I'm really into baking. I've been trying new recipes every week.
You can also use it to ask someone about their interests. For example, what are you really into these days? Jeff. It's a fun and simple way to express excitement about a hobby or activity. 2. I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time. Use this phrase to talk about how much time you dedicate to your hobbies. For example, I spend a lot of time reading. I read almost every night before bed. Or, I spend a lot of time cycling on weekends. It's a great way to stay active.
It's also a good way to show how important a hobby is to you. You can even use it to ask someone about their routine. Do you spend a lot of time on your hobbies?
This phrase works well when talking about hobbies that require regular practice, like playing an instrument or exercising.
3. It helps me. It helps me. It helps me. This phrase is useful for explaining why you enjoy a hobby. For example, I like yoga because it helps me relax after a long day. I enjoy painting because it helps me be creative and express my ideas.
You can also ask someone about the benefits of their hobbies. For example, why do you like gardening? They might answer, it helps me feel calm and connected to nature.
It's a great way to add more depth to your conversations about hobbies.
4. I've been doing it for. Use this phrase to talk about how long you've had a hobby. For example, I've been baking for 3 years and I still love it. I've been playing the guitar since I was a teenager.
This is also a great way to ask about someone else's experience. For example, how long have you been hiking? They might say, I've been hiking for a few months and I'm really enjoying it.
It's a simple way to share more about your hobby and keep the conversation going.
5. I'd like to try. I'd like to try. I'd like to try. This phrase is perfect for talking about hobbies you want to start in the future. For example, I'd like to try learning a new language. It seems challenging but fun. Or, I'd like to try kayaking. I've always wanted to explore rivers and lakes.
You can also use this phrase to ask others about their interests. Is there a hobby you'd like to try? It's a great way to share your goals and learn more about other people's interests. These 5 phrases, I'm really into, I spend a lot of time, it helps me, I've been doing it for, and I'd like to try, are very useful for talking about hobbies.
Try using them in your conversations. The more you practice, the more natural they'll feel.
Emma. And remember, hobbies are a fun topic to discuss, so don't be shy about sharing what you love.
Let's quickly review what we learned today about talking about hobbies. We started with 5 key questions to help you discuss your interests and connect with others.
That's right. Here are the 5 questions we talked about.
1. What are your hobbies? A simple way to ask about someone's interests.
2. What do you like to do in your free time? A casual and friendly question to ask about activities people enjoy.
3. How often do you spend time on your hobbies? This helps you share or learn about someone's routine.
4. What got you interested in this hobby? A great question to learn the story behind someone's hobby.
5. Do you prefer indoor or outdoor hobbies? A fun way to explore preferences and personality. We also learned 5 useful phrases to talk about hobbies naturally.
Talking about hobbies is a great way to practice English. It helps you share your interests, learn about others, and build connections.
Remember, the key is to keep practicing. Try answering these questions or using these phrases with a friend, or even write your answers in a journal.
Emma. And don't forget, hobbies are fun. Whether you love indoor activities like reading or outdoor adventures like hiking, sharing your hobbies is a wonderful way to connect with people.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining us.
Emma. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fluent English DCD podcast and share it with your friends.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.